Okay, so let's finish this up. Let's wrap it up. Let's go all the way to the bottom, to the very end of the FS Visual Tool and talk about these metrics and ratios. I'm sure you've noticed them. They're really cool. They're really handy. It takes big numbers, compares them to each other, and makes them into really small numbers, really easy to understand and digestible. Super duper helpful. Okay, let's go to the bottom. Okay, let me just get it in frame here and go to the bottom. All right, so I'm talking about this stuff right down here. Below the balance sheet, we have working capital, current ratio, cash ratio, and debt to equity ratio. Okay, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. We're gonna look through, kind of define those terms so you know exactly what they mean when it comes to your books, because that's where all the power is for you. You wanna do this to your books. Okay, let's dive in. All right, so we're on the balance sheet, which is, again, your assets. That's all the stuff that you own, the stuff of value to the company. There's your liabilities or debt. That's the stuff that you owe back to vendors or people who have given you loans, that kind of thing. And then equity. That's kind of like the net worth. It's what's left over. It's the difference between those two things. Remember, profit goes right into equity, so that's a big driver on increasing your equity. And we're going to see some ratio that looks at that one directly. And beyond that too, you can see different shades, right? We have a light green and a dark green. And then we have a light orange and a dark orange. So what's up with that? There's also a line in there inside the light green. So let's go through it all, put all of our pieces on the table and understand what we're even talking about here. Okay, so the balance sheet starts with cash. Okay, so that's one of your assets. This is everything in your bank account. If you actually have cash on hand, that too. And actually undeposited funds, payments you've taken in, just haven't got to the bank account yet. That's categorized as cash. So that's where that number comes from at the end of your statement of cash flows, right above this, or how the balance sheet starts. It's including that undeposited funds, all your cash. But then that's also the rest of your current assets we want to include here too. So what does current mean? Current means 12 months. Okay, so we can say it like this. Anything that's on my balance sheet right now, I can expect to convert to cash in 12 months. So these are things like accounts receivable, right? Payments coming from your customers, all that should be paid up within 12 months, hopefully, right? There's some other things in there too. Inventory, you're hoping to turn that over and sell it, convert it to cash within 12 months. Otherwise, it's probably too long. So all these current assets, stuff that can be liquefied or turned to cash within 12 months. And then fixed assets are the stuff that's harder to move, stuff that you're probably not intending to move or sell. Vehicles, fixed equipment, land, buildings, that kind of thing. Stuff that really helps drive revenue and profits for your business. That's the fixed stuff. Anything that has a value to the business for longer than a year and you use to drive revenue and profits. All right, so that's the assets, okay? Liabilities. Current liabilities, same deal, 12 months. All this stuff is going to have to be paid out in the next 12 months. For instance, credit cards, kind of the opposite of your bank account, right? Accounts payable. Vendors you have to pay back. That's kind of the opposite of accounts receivable. If you have any other short-term business type loans that are going to be paid off within a year, they might belong here, but not the long-term ones. Okay, that's coming next. Long-term liabilities are longer-term loans. Like in this case, I have that truck loan, right? But I'm sure if you have a long-term loan, you know exactly what that is. Something that has to be paid back over a longer period than 12 months. Okay, so those are the pieces. But we're going to look at those and compare them. First one is working capital. So that happens to be all of your current assets compared to your current liabilities. And it finds the difference. What's your cushion? If you could snap your finger, right, and take all of the money, all the value sitting in your current assets and turn it into cash, a big pile of cash on your table, and go around to all your vendors that you owe short-term debt to, your current liabilities, what's left over? That's the working capital. You want that number to be big, right? Very, very clearly so. The current ratio is very similar. It's the same elements, but it looks at it a little different way. You ask, how many times could I pay off my short-term debts with my short-term assets? And a 1 would mean those two numbers are equal, right? Below 1, you're kind of underwater in the short-term stuff. And you want to turn that around quick. 2, like we can see right here, and we have the goal a universal starting goal, that's pretty comfortable. You have twice as many short-term assets as you do short-term liabilities. So you could pay off all the short-term liabilities 2 times and have that money left over. Pretty comfortable. So how do we improve these numbers? We're going to get to the cash ratio here momentarily, but how do we improve them? We could increase our current ratio or decrease current liabilities. How do we increase current ratio, our current assets? Well, be profitable, right? That's going to put more money into your bank account or at least into your accounts receivable, right? As an example, that'll help increase that number. Remove current liabilities. So what they are today, right? You got to pay those down. That's going to suck out cash, right? When you do so. So they're both going to go down kind of at the same time. But moving forward, going way back up to the profit funnel, right? You want to be efficient. You want to run your business really efficiently so that your revenue is nice and big compared to what your costs are. Okay, and then watch other expense control, that kind of thing, to leave yourself profitable. Being profitable will help the assets and the liabilities, both of them. 2, get to a better number. All right, the cash ratio is very, very similar. We're looking right down here now, just below that. That's the same deal. It's comparing cash to your current liabilities. So we're forgetting about accounts receivable, inventory, that kind of thing. What we have cash right now today. How many times could we pay off our short-term liabilities with the cash that we have? Now, I am under 1 right here because I don't have enough cash to pay off all my current liabilities. If I did, that'd be pretty awesome. But very likely, we don't. We don't have a whole lot of cash sitting in the businesses, at least not most businesses. But universal starting goal of 1 and higher is even better, right? Okay, so moving over, switching gears a little bit here. Another ratio, taking some other comparisons from big numbers into small numbers, is the debt to equity ratio. In this case, lower is better. All right, a lower number is a better, healthier number. Previously, the last ones, bigger was better. We want to be able to pay off the liabilities more times, right? Here, because of how the calculation is, we want it to be a lower number. So this is all of your debt, okay? All of your total liabilities compared to total equity. And it's a divided by problem. So liabilities on top, equity on the bottom. We want this number on top to be smaller than the smaller compared to how big the equity is, the bottom number, right? Okay, universal starting goal of below 2.5. Okay, so we're hitting it pretty good. Yeah, want to be more. I want to increase my equity, get rid of all my debt, right? That's what I want to do, but under 2.5 is pretty good. Here it's 1.6. And how do we improve that? We would decrease total liability, so pay down debt and keep it away, right? Or increase equity. So again, profit, right? That's going to drive your equity up. And then, as it is with my business, and for the example of this company here, the owner, the primary shareholder, takes their owner's pay in the form of distributions, which is an equity account. So when I do that, it reduces my equity. But of course, I need my business. I'm sorry, I need my life to be supported. That's the purpose of my business. So I'm okay doing that, and you should be too. We just got to make sure that the business can do that and remain healthy. It's a balancing act, right? All of this stuff. But that's a good metric to look at on a really ongoing basis to see the health of the company. By the way, bankers look at that number. So if you're looking for financing, again, I don't love debt, but sometimes it's necessary, right? Bankers will look at that. So if you are planning any kind of financing anytime in the near future, 6 months, a year down the road, try to get that number really good. Again, that's the debt to equity ratio. You want to reduce your debt and increase equity. All right, so that's a rundown on the metrics we have here. There are a ton more accounting metrics and ratios that a person could go through, but these are really good baseline ones to gauge the health of the company. And forgetting about the really big numbers, or at least not staring at the really big numbers, we can break it down into smaller numbers, a lot more digestible, really a lot more understandable. And by the way, with a recent update to the FS Visual tool, there's also a heat map for these very same metrics. If you jump over to the next sheet, if you look closely, way down here at the bottom, this 1-page summary, if we go there, all this stuff on the right-hand side is more really helpful stuff. Other metrics, I guess, key points from the story that your financials are telling. But if we scroll down, we can see the current ratio, working capital, debt to equity, has a heat map now added to it, where green is good, yellow is, you better watch that, and then it does turn red if it's getting too low or too high. So just trying to be even more helpful with that. Is it good, meh, or bad? So make sure to check that out too before you leave the FS visual tool. So that's a good start. If I can be of any help to you to interpret what you've got going on, or to help you improve the health of your company, be more profitable, have more cash flow, and by the way, yes, you get a good owner's pay too, reach out. I'd love to talk with you. But I hope you enjoy this tool and use it for a long period of time going forward to really understand and see your financials like you never have before. All right, thank you so much and take care.